What's up, everybody? I'm struggling to get things going here, so I apologize if it's a bit of a shit show for a minute here. Oh man, I'm clipping like a mofo. Sorry about that. Is that alright? Looking good there? Sorry about those ears. If anybody just lost some ears. Yeah, holy shit. Our cams are terrible. I didn't realize I couldn't fix that until we started. Until I had already started. Let's get those kind of tame. I still have shit sitting everywhere. This is terrible. My monitor is still like 8 feet away. Let me grab that. Who the hell is running things around here? Books. I got terrain. Okay. Let me catch up on chat here. What's up, everybody? As you can see, things are not really normal today. Got started a lot later. The little one was throwing up today. That definitely puts like a kibosh on normal plans. Okay, so double sound. We have double sound? Oh no. Do we still have double sound? Things are normal around here. Not usually. Not usually. All right, are we kind of sorted out, sort of? My monitor's still like miles away. And you guys know I can't see worth a damn, so. All right, there's some semblance of normalcy there. Okay. Audio? I don't know. Everything seems all right. Testing, mic check. Checking the mic. Okay, somebody had the stream open twice. Okay. So, what is up, everybody? Paint cap. I think we're ready to go. Need to use an aerial drone. I actually have one I was messing with the other day. Yesterday, actually. So, as you can see from the description and stuff, we were going to try to make some progress. Do levels look okay? I'm going to try to make some progress on Sir Pigglesby, I believe is his name. We're using some filler primer today, which is this stuff. I don't know if you guys have ever used it. I've never used it before, so it sprays on a little weird. It sprays on really thick. Obviously, I guess that's kind of the point. And it looks like it's going to run when you're putting it on, but it doesn't seem to run or create any drips or anything. So I managed to get the head, or I guess the face and ears printed out last night, and unfortunately, just about 15 minutes ago, put a coat of filler primer on there. The print, I have some pics, but I can't pull them up right now. We will be fixing this video. I do have coffee. It's just over on the bench. How's the duct tape on your chest? I do have a little patch there where there's slightly less hair than there was before when I did that. But so the print came out nice. If anyone saw the previous stream where we prepped those files, the settings we had were fine, with the exception of the one thing I did catch like after we had sliced a few of those, is I had concentric infill on some of the initial slices that we did, and that is not ideal. I've had a lot of problems with concentric infill, unless you really take some time to tailor it to the print so that the innermost part kind of lays correctly. But beyond that, the print came out nice. Nothing too crazy about it. Like we had kind of predicted, without support, there was a little bit of like stringing on the inside of the print, but it doesn't matter because you can't see it. So yeah, if any of you are looking to follow along with this project and do this print and stuff, the files seem okay. And obviously I've only done the face and ears, so there could be some problems lurking down the line, but I don't foresee any. Like when we slice those, everything looks like it's going to go okay. After that mic pick, I need something stronger than coffee. Yeah, sorry about that. I didn't want to put a black screen up, and I didn't have a picture ready, so I was like, I'm sure somebody will get a kick out of this, so I threw that on there. So yeah, I'm gonna grab this. It's sitting over in front of a fan. Hopefully it's done enough for us to do some prep work on. The only little spot I had on the print, I filled with this stuff. It's a liquid green stuff from Citadel. I know you can't see that, but I've never used this before either, but I got this in a lot that I got off of eBay, so I wanted to try it, and it seemed okay. Normal, like, 2-part epoxy putty, I think, is the best way, or, like, some of you guys might prefer to use Bondo. That stuff works good, too. But let's get this. All right. So here's our little face. Now, it's probably ideal to not do this as quick as we... Oh, shit, I don't have my other cam put in. Like, ideally, you'd give this more time to dry. But I think this is dry enough for us to do a little bit of work on it. I ideally wanted to airbrush this a little bit today, but I don't know if we're going to get to that, unfortunately. My effing second camera isn't plugged in. And it's probably not going to let me start it, unfortunately. I was thinking about it. The light came on for a second. You bastard. Son of a bitch. I'm going to have to drop OBS, or... I don't know. Do you think we can get by with one camera? This damn thing. Oh. Oh, it joined us. Okay. So, let's get the settings on this correct. Because OBS doesn't care about our feelings, so it never saves our settings. We'll have to tweak this a little bit. And of course, like usual, we have shadows. But see, here's Mr. Pigglesby's face. Right? And it doesn't, like I said, the print didn't come out too bad. We have a spot here where there's a little, let me adjust the zoom here. There's a little spot on the top here that I think will need some attention. But overall, it came out nice. There, you can see it. It looked a lot better than it actually does without focus. Overall, it came out nice and clean. I did a tiny little bit of sanding. See, I did it in purple. I did a tiny little bit of sanding before I did the filler primer. So most of the surfaces look okay. We've got a little spot here. I'm pretty sure, looking at pictures, that this is actually under the helmet that's going to go on him. So we could probably get away without doing anything to that, but we're going to go ahead and fix it up a little bit. But you can see overall, like the layer lines on the snout and stuff aren't too bad, and his forehead aren't too bad, where they were actually the worst when the print came off of the printer. The ears, I actually super glue, like little pieces like this, I super glued these to the box to paint them. So you have a little bit of cardboard to clean off there, but it makes it a lot easier doing your primer and stuff if they're, you know, fastened securely. You can see they came out pretty decent, and all these were sliced at 0.2 millimeter layer height, so we didn't do anything crazy as far as resolution, because this is a fairly big print. I think this was about a 7-hour print for the head. But overall, I think this is going to look good at this scale. You can see it's pretty big. We discussed that in the other stream. This is going to be a fairly big print. He's going to be about that big with the body and all that stuff on it. So let's get my windows sorted. Some are heavy like that. The helmet covers that bit. Yeah, that's what I thought, Lee. Looking at pictures, I'm pretty sure the helmet actually comes down fairly low across like his brow. So we might get away without messing with that. Like I said, I've never used the filler primer. I was hoping we'd be able to get away with one coat and then resand it, and it would leave us with a surface nice enough to go ahead and do our pink coat with the airbrush. But it's kind of looking like we're going to have to sand this a bit and probably do another coat, which kind of sucks because I wanted to get some airbrushing done on this stream. But I know we're kind of running late today, so it's got to kind of do what we can here. Lots of room to hold lots of coin. Yeah, that's one of the coolest things, I think, is this is a very functional bank. I think it's a nice size. It's not just like a novelty item that you won't be able to get much use out of. So that's very cool. So we're going to take some 220 grit sandpaper. This is wet dry paper. I just prefer it because the grit seems to come off a little less than with other paper. So we're gonna take a go at this and see how this sands up. Now you can see we do have, I don't know, a little bit of almost looks like tree rings there, because they're a lot softer than layer limes normally are, because we did a tiny little bit of pre-sanding with 220 grit paper. But I'm anxious to see how much this smooths up with this filler primer. Because ideally, it's going to be taking, like, we're going to sand back down till we see some of this pink coming through. And the primer should be staying in the layer line little troughs and leaving us with a fairly smooth surface. And this is a tiny bit tacky, so this is probably going to clog our paper up pretty good, but we'll try to do the best we can with it. Because I don't know, it's possible we'll have a reasonable surface here. I mean, that's actually not too bad. You can see the layer lines a little bit more than you can feel them, since there's going to be a little bit of a color differential here. I don't know. I guess we can throw a little bit of color on this, because that is pretty damn smooth. Honestly. And we're not going to get too critical with a lot of the areas. I just wanted these large, super visible areas to be as smooth as, we can reasonably get them without spending a whole bunch of time on this. Same with the cheeks and the sides of his face and stuff. If we can get those big prominent areas smooth, I'll be satisfied. I can see already, I'm going to grab some gloves quick. This stuff is a little tacky, and I don't want to leave fingerprints or get my hands super dirty. I had somebody ask about these. These are just fairly inexpensive nitrile, black nitrile gloves. Because I have, like a lot of people, I have a minor latex allergy. So my skin will actually get irritated if I wear normal latex gloves. Plus, these things are pretty inexpensive. I think a box of 100 of these was like $8 on Amazon. So they're pretty handy. Plus, I like them because they're like I have a utility knife here. They're actually fairly cut resistant, which I kind of like. Like obviously, if you really tear into yourself, you're not going to save your skin. But for light work, they are kind of nice because they will resist cuts and stuff, so they don't shred very easily. The fame is getting me? Oh, totally. It's totally going to my head. Is PETG easier to sand than PLA? I personally haven't tried PETG, but I know that damn near anything has to be easier to sand than PLA. PLA is so hard. Yeah, it's very resistant to like sanding and stuff. I remember one of the first prints I ever did was a large flat piece, and I put like a raft under it or something, and it made the bottom of the print pretty ugly. So I was like, well, that's okay. I'll just like sand it, and it'll smooth the bottom up. And I sanded that thing for probably a half hour, and it did almost nothing. So this filler primer is pretty amazing, honestly. Even with our sandpaper kind of gumming up here really quick, because this, like I said, I should have let this dry longer, but we kind of got to make do with what we have. Like the finish on that is actually quite good. I don't know if you can see it very, very well, but like the sheen in the light, like our layer lines are pretty much gone. So we might be able to make do with one layer or one coat of the filler primer. But I can see already if you do two, you could get this really smooth. I mean, maybe it is worth doing since this is such a large project. But especially these large areas, the finish is actually quite nice on it. Very cool. I don't honestly know how thick of a layer you're supposed to put on this filler primer, but I did put it on fairly thick. Almost to the point where I was kind of worried it was going to run in some places. Just because I wanted to try to get away with a single coat instead of having to sand this, coat it again, and then sand it again. But I think with like an organic piece like this, since it's an animal's face, you know, you're not super worried about losing any detail, because really the smoother it is, the more realistic it's going to look. I'm actually surprised this is coming out this smooth. Because like I said, we printed this at 0.2 millimeters. So yeah, that's fairly smooth. There's some areas in here, like around this eye and stuff, where I didn't do a whole lot of pre-sanding. And then obviously our spot there, where it's, I don't know what caused that. There was another little area here that I filled with a little bit of filler. It's like it under-extruded or something. It is for your kid, make it nice. It's something else. Oh, yeah. No, that's true. It is something to consider, because more than likely this is something my daughter will have for a long time. This thing should be pretty tough. So I guess it doesn't hurt to go, you know, a little above and beyond to make it nice, so it's something we can be proud of, you know, 15 or 20 years from now when we're looking back. So that's true. That is something to consider. I know as 3D printers, a lot of the things we end up doing are, you know, I don't know. We're not really going to care too much about it in the future. But a print like this, being that it is kind of functional, it's going to be a gift for my daughter. And, you know, barring some catastrophe, this thing should be intact, you know, basically indefinitely. So it probably doesn't hurt to put a little bit of extra work into it and make it nice. Plus, some of these things, because there will be people watching this, I guess it does reflect well on the community if we try to do a nice job with this. And it's like, I forget the lady's name. The link is in the description for this file. I'm trying to recall her name without looking. It will do her print, or her file justice, I think, if we do a nice job on it. So that's also something to consider. But you can see it's gumming up our sandpaper pretty bad because it didn't really have as much time to cure as you'd generally like to give it. But it's still doing its job for sure. I guess on the second coat we could get away with a lot lighter of a coat than we did with the first one. So the second coat would probably dry a lot faster and require a bit less sanding. But no, this looks nice. This is going to look cool. I can tell that already. I know the armor is going to be a little bit tougher because we don't have big flat surfaces like this, and I know there's a lot of rivets and bolts and stuff on the armor. So it's going to take a little bit more effort to sand. It's going to be a little bit trickier with all the little, non-organic smooth surfaces and stuff that we'll have to sand. But no, that has a very, very nice finish on it. Yeah, so far I'm kind of happy with the first experience with filler primer. And this is actually a nice shape too. You can see I can get a pretty good grip on it and actually sand pretty aggressively. Because I know some of the things in the past that I've sanded, they end up being small, like these spinners and stuff. They can be a little tough to work on because they're like a small awkward shape and it's all curves. There's no big areas like this where you can use big broad strokes. Rub and buff for the armor. Like now that I think about it, I might end up reslicing some of the armor pieces to do them at a smaller layer height, maybe 0.12 or 0.15, something in that region, to kind of reduce the amount of work we'll have to do. Because this one I think is fine to print a little on the coarse side, just because it's going to be easy to use your filler primer and sand it out. So in the long run, it probably saves you time to shave, an hour or two or maybe even 3 off the print time, and then spend 15 or 20 minutes just like doing some sanding and stuff, as opposed to trying to get it real smooth in the first place. Let's keep ripping off small pieces of our paper since it's gumming it up. But I think the worst spots are going to be in here around these eyes. You can see the layer lines are just a little bit tougher to get to. But even those are coming out pretty nice, honestly. Really not too bad. Hopefully, I'm kind of hoping somebody else ends up doing this print too. I'm anxious to see some pictures. I am going to, Insaniac, I am going to give it a clear coat, obviously, to protect the paint. And some of that will come down to personal preference. I like matte finishes on things. Honestly, I think the matte looks kind of classy, as opposed to like the gloss. So I'll probably put like a nice heavy matte finish coat on there. Like my favorite used to be Tester's Dull Coat, if anyone's ever seen that stuff for doing like models and stuff. People especially use it for like military miniatures and like model railroading and stuff. And they unfortunately changed their formula recently because they used to have a super, super dull matte finish. And the newer stuff isn't quite as dull as the old stuff was. So that kind of stinks, but I'll still use that. It's great for protecting paint. And then, like I said, I just personally prefer the dull finish. Especially something like this, like a pig wouldn't have shiny skin. I plan to do this when I get my printer as a gift for my best friend's kid. They'll probably love it. I'd imagine from the appearance of the files themselves, I think this would scale down fairly well. Like, I think if you'd even scale this to maybe 50%, I think everything would still print quite nicely. So it's something to consider. You know, if you don't want to do it full scale, it'll shave quite a bit of time off the print times and still be a super cool little bank. We talked about that during the stream, I think. I think it would be cool to try to scale this down as much as you possibly could and see how small you could get it. Like, it would be so cool to have this thing be like 2 or 3 inches long and still be in like 30 some pieces, I believe it is. I think that would be a super cool little project. Let's print the whole thing at like 0.1 millimeter layer height with like a 0.25 or a 0.15 nozzle. I think that would be such a cool little item to have. This thing could be the new Benchy. Because if you want to see how your printer performs, printing this at like 15% or 10% scale would definitely run your printer through the ringer, I think. Get some graphite powder to dust on that and coat the 3D print. Duckrut says glass then matte coat. The gloss is more durable. That's very true. The gloss top coats are a lot more durable. They seem to bond with themselves a lot better. The layers bond better than the matte does. So you could do something like that. Because, like, this is going to be going to a 2-year-old, so there's a good chance she's going to be a little rough with it. But it's like with any of your kids' toys. I don't know. Some of the damage adds to the character. It's why I'm gonna make an effort to print these pieces in colors that kind of make sense. Like this, even if she would chip it, it's not going to be a wildly different color. Like, it is going to be more of like a purple than the pink we're going to do the paint with, but at least she's not going to scratch it and it's like green underneath, which I almost did. I almost printed this in green. Because it was kind of just happenstance that I printed it out of the purple because I'm sure some of you have done this. I've been printing a lot lately, and I wasn't really keeping track of my filament stocks, and I didn't realize until I went to print this that I didn't have a roll that was probably going to make it the whole way through the print. So I ordered some yesterday that should be here hopefully today. Or I'm sorry, I ordered it Sunday. So with Prime, that should be here today, hopefully. And I have a couple rolls to work with. But it just so happened that this purple was the only roll that I had enough to make the whole print for this face and ears set. So it worked out nice. And I finally got a roll of eSun that I'm going to try. I know there's quite a few of you regular guys that seem to like it, and I've seen other people online that seem to like it, so I'm going to give it a try. I was tempted to order some Hatchbox, but I honestly haven't liked... I think I've had 3 rolls of it now at this point. I really haven't liked it that much. It seems very inconsistent. Like, when it's good, it seems fine, and then I had one whole roll that was kind of a pain in my ass, and then there was another roll that was fine until I got about halfway through it, and then it, like, the diameter was really inconsistent. And then the third roll I had like three different tangles in it. And that was super frustrating. Because I felt like every time I printed with that roll, I felt like I had to babysit the prints if it was more than like an hour or two long. I don't know. I'm really happy with the finish on this. I wish those couple spots weren't bad because we'd easily be able to get away with just this one coat, I think. But there's a couple little spots, like on the face there. There's a little. I know it's hard to see, but there's a little crack between two of the layers that I think I want to do another coat on and fill. But overall, this is a pretty great finish. And this is a hell of a lot easier than using Bondo, which I've never done with a 3D print, but I have used on other stuff. Hey, what's up, Aspie? So, Paul, you have about 30 rolls of filament? I wish I did. I know it's funny, like, having a YouTube channel, but, like, printing's still, like, 80% hobby for me. So I just can't afford to be sitting on rolls and rolls of filament. I more or less buy them as I need them. Though lately, I am going to have to step up my filament purchasing because I've been printing so much stuff lately. Like, I don't know if you guys can see. Oh, you can't. They're off camera. I printed like these dungeon tiles and stuff for that series I'm doing. Like, I've printed a bunch of sets of these out. There's probably 60 pieces sitting over here that I just printed out in like the last 4 or 5 days. So that's really going through some filament. But any of you that are interested in that series, I've got tons of content coming, so hopefully it's of interest. Because there really isn't anyone that's reviewing file sets for the most part. There's a couple guys isolated around the web that are doing it, and I want to kind of make an effort to be like that guy. Be the file reviewer guy. But yeah, this is coming out really smooth. Like, especially on the underside here, there's very few layer lines that you can see. Like, I know it's a little tough to tell on the camera, but you can see from the sheen of the light that it's actually very smooth. I'm kind of surprised. Because we get all the big areas, we kind of got to work into some of these small areas now. They're a little more awkward, like around the mouth here. Yeah, Earl, I'm going to call you today, probably. I don't know if you're busy today, but I'll probably call you after the stream so we can finally get in touch a bit. Because I am super interested in printing some of the stuff. Anybody that doesn't know, Earl's got some files that are going to be released soonish, I believe. And I think you're a mod. If you want to drink, if you want to link to your site or whatever, you're free to if you want to. But Earl's got a bunch of cool files that I'm pretty excited to print that he's going to be releasing soonish. What, you've got an airbrush rack and paint rack that you've been working on. You've got some modular dungeon tiles you've been working on that I think look pretty sweet. Like I said, I'll be glad when I can add those to the list of my recommended dungeon tiles and stuff. Because they look quite nice. Alright, we're getting there. We're almost done with this. And then we'll move on to the ears and see how they sand up. Because we're almost to the point now where we're basically done sanding this first coat. And we'll unfortunately have to do another coat just to make this nice. But I also have a video that hopefully will be coming out in the next week or so that's going to compare like this filler primer with like some normal primer and then with some normal gray spray paint. Because I used to use regular gray spray paint for almost everything. And after my initial experiences with this, I think I will be using this a little more often when things where like the finish is important and you're willing to do a little bit of extra finishing work. It's like a print like this. Even if you just did like his brow, cheeks, and nose, I think that would, dramatically improve the overall appearance of a print like this, just because they're the most visible areas, the first things people are going to be looking at. But say you did that and then, didn't bother with the armor and stuff. I think just that would elevate this print quite a bit. Because the most characterful elements of it would have a nice finish. What sort of primer have I used? This is the Rust-Oleum filler primer. And I know someone mentioned they haven't seen it at Walmart. I gotta switch views here. They haven't seen it at Walmart, but I picked this up at Walmart. I know they have it at like Napa. They probably have it at Advanced Auto. Whatever, like car parts chain happens to be in your area. But I'd also imagine that most Walmarts have it. It might just be, kind of a fluke that someone mentioned they don't have it at theirs. But no, you're free. Anyone's free to ask questions about stuff. I don't, like, obviously you can scroll back, but it can be a pain to find stuff sometimes if you're not watching it in its entirety. I don't get too bothered about people asking questions. Very cool. It kind of stinks that we're going to be spending a fair amount of time post-processing this, but I am really excited to see the finished results. I think this is going to end up being my favorite thing I've printed to date. Even if we did a half-assed job, I think it would be. Just because I haven't printed that much, like, really cool stuff. I always hesitate to start big projects because I have so much little stuff, like dungeon tiles and things that I need to print, like, all the time, just constantly. That's why I'd really like to have a second printer. At least a second printer. God, I could keep, like, 4 or 5 printers running 24/7, I think. And I think it's just going to get worse as time passes. Oh, yeah, there was Earl's site if anybody wants to go check it out. Like I said, he's got some files that are coming out. I don't know what his release date is, his plans, but... Yeah, this probably would have been a fantastic candidate for printing in ABS for a number of reasons. One being that it's going to go to a 2-year-old. So it might hold up a little bit better in ABS. And then obviously being able to smooth it would take a lot of this kind of manual labor out of the equation, which would be kind of nice. I probably could have used slightly coarser grit sandpaper than 220 on this first layer too. I mean, this is working just fine, but you could probably cut your sanding time a little bit by going with a little more abrasive paper. And then come down to like 220 or 320 on your next coat. All right, let's get in these eyes a little bit. This does do a really good job though, holy crap. I don't think we're going to be able to eliminate every single line. Especially tight little areas like this is where ABS would definitely have an advantage. Because you don't really need to get in there with anything. The vapor will, smooth pretty much everything. But I still think our results are going to be quite nice with this. All right, get around these eyes a little bit, and then we'll basically be done. Fold our paper up nice and small. Should do him in like Nillabean colors. He'd be our little mascot. Or no, I'm going to make my daughters look, I don't know, not girlish, I don't think. Like we talked about, we're going to do the armor like a bronze or a brass kind of color. So maybe I will do a really small one, or try to anyway. I don't have the 0.1 millimeter nozzle yet, but I do have the 0.25. Maybe we could try printing him in 0.25 and see just how much we could push the scale of this print down. Have a miniature pig. Because as long as you follow the rules, you almost have an obligation to push things to places where the original author didn't intend them to be, just because it's interesting for everyone. So you can see, we're getting a really good finish there. Looks kind of funny with the pink and gray, but overall, it's very smooth. Quite happy with it. I think if I wasn't... Honestly, if I hadn't thought about this print maybe having a nice long lifespan, I'd probably just leave it at this and airbrush some pink on there. I know for entertainment value in the stream, some of you guys would probably prefer I do that, but I do want to get, the best end result that we can without getting too insane. And I think it's worth a nice light coat over top of this, and then maybe to go to a 320 grit sandpaper, I think is the next step. Yeah, 320. And really smooth this out. Sorry, the camera's shaking. It's sitting on the table. But his snout is nice and smooth. Inside his nostrils and stuff, there's a little bit of layer lines. Again, this is a place where ABS would probably have a noticeable advantage over PLA in sanding. We can get in there a little bit. I feel like I'm picking my daughter's nose. Anybody that's a parent knows what boogies are all about. Pig and a pig and a pig and a pig. We could do that. Yeah, it'd be kind of... It's a shame we don't have any genuinely transparent filament, because that would be a cool project for that. If you could print it all clear and print a big one, and then a slightly smaller one, a slightly smaller one, have 3 of them nested in each other, like those little Russian doll things. All right. There's that eye. It's not perfect, but you can see we've got it pretty smooth in there. In the deepest recesses, you can still see layer lines a tiny little bit. But overall, looks like a pig. And then I never did dry fit his ears in here. Yep, that must be... That one goes there. They don't fit bad. I guess they'll look more correct when his helmet's on. I mean, he definitely looks like a pig. I'm not saying that he doesn't. Little pig face. But yeah, this is going to be a sizable print. No one tells you that you have to pick someone else's nose when you have kids. Yeah, nobody warns you about that stuff. There's all kinds of things. I don't think that's far from the worst thing. Like I said, my daughter, part of the reason I was running behind today was my daughter was a little sick and apparently ended up throwing up at the babysitter, so I hope she's all right. But they said they were going to call again, and they haven't called, so I think she just had an upset stomach and felt better after she got it out. But yeah, because our next one is a boy. He'll be here in about a month. And a lot more to deal with boys than girls in some areas of child rearing. We've never had any little fountains to deal with the little girls, so it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Dinner plates are always pre-washed too. Yeah, I actually used some of the $5 filament the other day. It's not bad. That stuff's not as cheap as it seems. Because what? That's 200 grams, I think, with the $5 filament. So a 1 kilogram roll ends up being $25, which at that point, there's probably just other brands I would buy. But I used some of their kind of like medium dark gray. I don't know what they call it. It's like a dark gray. And the print sucked at first because I had the temp too low. Because I'm used to printing with this other PLA. And this stuff prints great at like 190. And that stuff was a little kind of grainy at 190. But then I bumped it up to 200 and it printed really nice. So their filament definitely isn't bad. It's just not cheap. And the little rolls, I don't know if you're talking about the same company. This company, with these shitty little, like, twisted plastic rolls, like, they don't print too bad on that thing. But respooling sucks if you don't have a little rig set up. Respooling is not fun. If any of you have had to do that. All right, so we're going to clean this eye up a little bit. I think we're pretty much done. Probably clean this edge up on the mouth and then leave this guy be. And we'll take our final look at him. But my wife actually doesn't know that I'm printing this, so she's going to be surprised. Probably more surprised than my daughter is. Also with kids, after you give them, I don't know, a handful of gifts, they kind of, that surprise ceases to really overwhelm them. Hopefully I have some more 220 grit. We've got some regular 220, some regular dry sandpaper. Shit. I guess we can use this. This stuff just tends to clog up a lot quicker. Just regular old sandpaper. A couple little spots here, and then we're going to call it a day on the face. And then probably I'll get these nice and prepped, and we'll put a little bit of paint on these Thursday with the airbrush. I'm imagining we're going to start with a fairly dark pink and pull this up to a nice, like, pinkish flesh tone that you'd probably expect to see on a pig. I guess we could do something cool. I could get some reference shots of a pig that's not pink. We could do a brown pig. Be kind of cool. But I guess the stereotypical pink pig is probably what would look the best. Maybe get kind of experimental if we ever do another one of these. All right, we're just folding this over, getting a nice edge on there, and trying to clean up his lip line so it's like well defined and smooth along the edges. Because that's one of the areas, if there's any weird inconsistencies, it'll really stand out there, I think. So we'll try to get that looking nice. It's healthy to print add-on stuff before you get yours delivered. I mean, I guess you're asking, if you have the ability to, yeah, I mean, that's pretty handy. I guess it all depends. If it's your first printer, I would say no. Honestly, well, obviously, if it's your first printer, you're going to have problems having stuff printed beforehand, but, like, I did some things right away at first, and I think there is some value in experiencing something without modifications first, so that you can actually see, what kind of effect the quote-unquote improvements have on it. Because if you don't see it yourself, you're just kind of taking everybody else's word for it that there, is going to be an improvement. Because there were some things I printed right away, like the anti-vibration feet, the two-piece assembly ones. And then it turned out after some time passed that I really didn't love them because they make the machine wobble a little bit. And I don't know, I didn't really notice it because I used them basically from the word go. So I think there is some value in kind of running the machine as is for a while. But I don't know. It's up to you, obviously. I'm never going to tell anybody what they should and shouldn't do. I think 3D printing is one of those things where you have to kind of get used to making your own decisions. You need to get used to, like, experiencing something, evaluating, making changes, and then evaluating the value of the changes you made. I think that's, like, pretty good in general, but especially with things like 3D printing where there's so many variables and so many differing opinions on what you should and shouldn't do and the way you should and shouldn't do various things. I think you really need to, like, nurture your own ability to make decisions. And it's funny to say this immediately after saying that, but I think things like the cable chains, they're a pretty solid upgrade, like, in my opinion. I don't know. I guess there are some things where you don't really need to have too much experience. Like, it's pretty obvious. Some of the things, it's obvious with the changes they made in the 2KS, that some of these things did need kind of addressed. One, it was like the cable chafing out of the extruder assembly. So I think the cable chains are a pretty solid upgrade. And I think some of those projects are just good general experience for printing. Because, like, the cable chains, that's a not a huge project, but, there's quite a few pieces you have to have. There's some assembly involved. Couple different styles of pieces that are different prints that you need to kind of, learn some techniques for. Like, I had some troubles printing the links at first. Learned a couple lessons doing that. Which, like, the more you can learn along the way, the better off you are, for sure. All right, I think that's pretty solid. Let me get my little brush here. And some of these areas, like, we didn't do that at all. That's like a contact surface for gluing the helmet on. I guess we should actually clean out these areas where the ears come in, so we don't have any undesirable kind of thickness in there. And then it's probably a good idea. Where's my hobby knife? Areas like this, like, since we know we are going to have a glue joint here, it's a good idea to scrape that as clean as you can so we can get, like, a plastic to plastic connection there for that glue joint. Because if you have a paint to paint connection with glue, it can be a little weak, depending on how well the layers of paint have bonded to the plastic underneath. So something basic like that, where we just scraped most of that paint out so we exposed the plastic for that glue joint, and then we'll do the same to the ear. can actually make a big difference in the overall like strength of that connection. It's something to consider. So here's our pig face. See, it's actually quite smooth already. You can see the layer lines because of the two different colors, with our filler primer and the PLA, but did a really good job of filling all the gaps and stuff. Overall, I'm quite happy with it. You can see it's rather smooth. Feels nice. But like I said, I think we're going to do another light coat. We won't do that on stream today. I don't want to make this stream too damn long. We'll do another light coat. I'll sand that down, most likely using some 320 grit. We use 200 for this initial sanding. Do a nice light coat of the filler, sand it with some 320, and then have this ready for Thursday, and we'll put some paint on this with the airbrush and actually get it moving along. Next, we're going to take a quick look at these ears. We won't do both of them. Which one is this? We'll do this one. We'll sand one of these down, see how it looks. These are already fairly smooth. I don't know if you can see that. They're already fairly smooth, even at 0.2 millimeter layer height, just because they're a simple print. I don't know, and the MK2 does print nice, so even our initial results on this are fairly good. So these won't need a ton of work to make them look nice and smooth. I probably could, like I said, I did a fairly thick coat of primer on these, and I probably could have gotten away with a thinner coat, which would give us a little bit less sanding to do here. But these will be really easy to clean up and sand and stuff. And then the only thing I'm worried about is I think we are going to have to print or paint these separate, as much as I kind of don't want to, because the helmet, you can see we have the head assembly. The helmet actually comes down over top of this. That's what glues on here and covers like a good bit of the sides and top of his head. And I'm kind of thinking, by the looks of it, the way this is designed, the helmet's going to have to get glued on, and then the ears actually will sit down inside these holes through the helmet. So we're probably going to have to paint this stuff separately. Not a big deal, but it's something to consider, because if we'd go ahead and glue these, we might put ourselves in a situation where we'd have to break them out later. And if you've ever super glued PLA, sometimes that's easier said than done. Strings in the left eye, yeah, they're actually on the inside. They shouldn't be too much of a problem. When we go to do the eye fitting, we'll do some final sanding on that. I'll get those printed out and see. We'll take a look at just how much of this area is exposed here, and we'll make sure we go in and sand that down smooth, so when we put the eyes in, you know, there's nothing unsightly going on there. And there's two different files available. One version has the eyes already included in the head, and then there's this one where they're separate, and they'll get glued in from the inside. And I prefer to be able to finish those separately so we can get them nice and smooth and do some nice painting on them. IPS 16 is still the best stuff for gluing PLA. I'll have to try that out. I've never actually even heard of it. Dremel it. I don't think we're going to get the Dremel out on this. PLA doesn't like the Dremel too much, unfortunately. It just like melts immediately. Oh, I do have some 100 grit there, but that's probably a little much. Let's get one or two more little pieces here. Like I said, these ears won't take much work. One thing I did notice on these ears is I printed the first layer kind of hot because I was worried about these sticking. So we do have a little bit of like elephant foot action going on here. So we're going to make sure we want to get that off. And this is where everybody starts yelling at me to get a deburring tool. But we just want to make sure that that lip is off there, because it did seem to be interfering with the fit a little bit. And you don't have to be too worried about messing that edge up, because this is all not going to be visible. And then also I had super glued this to the cardboard box that I printed or painted these on. Just going to make sure we want to clean that off. But that's all good. Clean it up, and this should fit a little bit better now. I could actually feel that lip. Yeah. See, there's a little less gap in there. That actually fits down in there. Oh, there it clicked the whole way. Okay, that fits quite nice, actually. And I kind of want to go back and fill these cracks in, because we could fill this with putty and sand these smooth. But like I said, I think I won't know until I print the helmet out, but I think with the way the helmet is designed, we're going to have to put the helmet on the skull and then put the ears down through the holes that are left in the helmet. I don't think because both these ears point out, I don't think there's any way to get that helmet down over. You could probably get away with having one ear pre-glued and then glue the second one in after the helmet's installed, but I don't think you'd really gain too much by doing that. But anyway, we'll finish this ear up. Again, these things are really easy to sand. Big, flat, open surfaces. Oh, does it actually weld? I see. Yeah, I see. I have a love-hate relationship with that stuff, because they make the same stuff for like plastic miniatures, and I actually don't like it for that. I guess for this is never going to need to be broken apart, but like for gaming minis, I kind of hate it, because I mean, part of the reasons that I buy and resell figures, so when people assemble things poorly and they use that stuff, you're pretty much screwed. You can't break them apart. And with super glue, you can actually snap figs apart and repair them and pose them sensibly. But yeah, there is no arguing for me that it is a stronger bond, because the pieces will tend to break other places than the glue joints, just because the glue joints end up being so freaking strong. All right, nice smooth ears. These are going to look nice. These probably won't need a second coat. I probably won't put another spray coat on these of the primer. These are already quite smooth. I do know one thing. This stuff definitely gums up sandpaper pretty quick. So multiple thin coats might be the way to go instead of doing like one really thick coat like I did. Probably make your sanding experience a little less frustrating. But all right, that seems reasonable for this. Let's use up this one last little piece. Get this inner edge here. To your child safe weld it. Well, yeah. I guess there's some other things. These are some pretty wicked points on these ears, too. You could round those off a little bit. Prep it for a 2-year-old a little bit. Yeah, PLA is the worst. It just tends to, like, I don't know. It doesn't respond the best to sanding. We'll leave it be. We rounded that tip a tiny little bit. All right, but we'll leave it at that. I think everybody gets the idea. Coated it nice, sanded it down. Just keep working it until you're happy with the finish on all the areas. And like I said, I wish we could do some assembly, but the fit, like I said, this print is designed quite well. The fit in there is pretty fantastic. It's a nice snug fit all around. Pretty well designed. Got a one-eared pig. And like I said, with I think a light coat and a little bit more sanding, I don't think you'd really think this was 3D printed, honestly. There's a couple little areas inside the nostrils and a few tiny little areas in the deepest recesses of these eyes where you can see the like really faint layer lines. But I think the overall effect of this will be pretty fantastic. I'm quite happy with it. There's a little inconsistency there in that lip line that I'll probably clean up with a blade here. But like that, I mean, that pretty much did it. Yep, that pretty much did it. Fixed it. It's got a nice smile. But super cool. I'm super pumped about this print. I wouldn't think I'd get super excited about an armored pig, but here we are. Yeah, that's what I need to do, Marcus. Some glowing red eyes for my 2-year-old's little piggy bank. That won't give her nightmares or anything. But we've got one more ear to do. I won't bore everyone with sanding that or sanding the next coat. I think everybody gets the idea. Not a difficult procedure. Man, I'm anxious to see this thing done. It's going to have some weight to it. I think this is only like 15% infill, and it's still just a big enough piece that it has some mass to it. And it's hollow. I guess that actually makes it end up weighing more because it has 3 perimeters instead of just being pretty sparse infill. But overall, super, super cool little print. Like I said, I hope somebody else ends up doing it because I'd like to see someone else's progress pics. What do you think about some gloss and some matte for different parts? I probably will do the whole thing matte. I could be wrong. Like the eyes will probably be gloss just because it makes more sense. The armor and stuff, I guess it depends on exactly how I do it. I could do, like I tend to use matte on almost everything. I could do like a lacquered bronze kind of appearance. That could look cool. Because we're gonna do some bronze and like washes, like ink washes and stuff, to kind of make it look weathered and aged a tiny little bit. You could put some pulsing RGB lights in there. I could. We could put some LED stripping under it and make it have like an underglow, like a pink underglow, like Tokyo Drift kind of style. Yeah, hopefully, like my skills are still fairly limited with the airbrush, but like I do have some reasonable levels of skill with conventional like brush painting and stuff. So we'll try to make it look cool. I'm just kind of wondering what we're gonna do for. There's little circular badging and stuff on it. I could pull it up here. If some of you haven't seen this before, like I said, the link is in the description. I can pull it up here on my other screen. I've had to start using Bing, or not Bing, like Microsoft's web browser because like Chrome has terrible memory leaks in it, and it's been causing me a lot of problems. So here's the print. If no one's seen it before, that's what the actual finished print looks like. Super cool little print, but you can see that there's like these circular, I think she calls them metals, and like I said, we're going to be doing the armor like a bronze. Like most of these upper plates and stuff will be like a bronze color, and his faceplate will be bronze, and then some of the less significant pieces will be like a normal like metallic color. But yeah, I'm kind of not sure what I want to do with some of these, because you could make them a little more elaborate than just, you know, as if they're a piece of metal integrated into the plates themselves. So there's a little bit of room for creativity there, I think. Maybe I could do those pink. I don't know. You know what I mean? Do them like colored. But no. Cool little project. I'll be glad to get it done. It is, I think the color of the model would be a little more balanced if he had some flesh showing on the legs. I know that's like a really little, that's a pretty minor criticism. Same with his tail. I think it would have been kind of cool if his tail was kind of exposed. Like if he had some flesh showing underneath the plates of the legs. It'd give a little like more dynamic appearance as far as like the color and stuff overall. But like I said, pretty trivial criticism. Yeah, I think so, Greg. I think that place on the face will be under the armor because it comes down pretty low on his brow. Actually, really low because it has the like nose piece that comes down, you know, almost to here. So quite a bit of this flesh will be covered. But if you see on that helmet piece, it doesn't fit tight against his face, so you will be able to see under there a little bit. So I think it's going to pay off to have that all finished nice. That way, when you can see under that plate and stuff, it'll look like, you know, somebody gave a shit when they did it. So I think it's worth a little bit of extra work. Nuln oil? Are you hating on Nuln oil? Come on, man. Who doesn't like Nuln oil? It's not my favorite. I don't know why I'm saying that, but it does the job. But I think, unfortunately, that's it for today. We're, a little over an hour. I don't want these streams to get long for anyone that's following along, so we're not going to sit here and shoot the shit for too long today. Plus, we got a late start. I think Thursday I'm going to have to start late too, so it'll be probably 1 o'clock as well. Unfortunately, I have to go to the dentist, which I'm not looking forward to. So Thursday we're going to be starting. Anybody that's planning on stopping by, I would plan on 1 o'clock Eastern Standard, same time we started today. There's a chance it might be a little bit sooner than that, but I wouldn't bet on it. And I might be a little loopy too, depending on how much sedation it requires at the dentist's office. Nuln oil is just sepia? Really? It's pretty black. Adios, it's been emotional. I don't know why. All we did was some sanding. There's no emotions involved in sanding, or there shouldn't be if you're doing it right. Paint rack. Yeah, man. Like I said, I'll give you a call. What time is it? 2:30. Maybe the next hour or so. When I get a chance, I have to run some errands quick and tend to some things around here, but loopy stream equals fun stream. That's why I wish I could stream later in the day so I could drink. I always have to stop and pick my daughter up mid-afternoon, though, so I can't really be getting hammered on stream. And then driving her babysitter. That's not ideal, to say the least. I did get a freaking speeding ticket on Easter. Damn it. I don't know how bad speeding tickets are in the places where you guys live, but so the freaking cop was sitting. There's an area that's 35 and an area that's 45, and he was sitting between them like a effing asshole. And I didn't know exactly where it transitioned to 45. I knew it started at 45 somewhere along there. So he caught me doing 40 and a 35. Like, how shitty is that to pull somebody over for 40 and a 35? So he pulls me over, and I didn't have my license with me because we left the house in a rush to make it to a family event for Easter and stuff. But luckily, it wasn't a big problem. Just give them your info, and they pull it up. But any guesses on how much my ticket was for 5 miles and over in a 35? Or 5 miles an hour over? It was $140 damn dollars. Like, what a buzzkill for my Easter. So now that's due in 10 days. Freaking Pennsylvania. State police are really hard up for money for a couple different reasons. So freaking $140 speeding ticket for being 5 miles an hour over. Where most, because part of the problem is like in our area, we don't have a local police department, so the state police cover it, and the state police don't act like a local officer might, so they always give you a ticket, which kind of sucks. But $140 for 5 miles an hour over. Damn it. It's because it was my wife's car. Her car, she has a little Nissan Juke. That car's fun to drive, so I always tend to drive like a bit faster in it than I do mine, because it doesn't feel like you're going faster. But 15 years since I've had a speeding ticket. That peckerhead gave me a $140 ticket. Yeah, in PA they give you points too, but you need to be going more than 5 over. But yeah, we have a point system in PA too. I think most states do. I think most states have a point system. Because I know like a year ago, my wife got 2 points. She got caught doing 18 over. She's the lead foot in the family, not me. Yeah, $140. That's a lot of filament, man. That's that's almost like that's a cheap printer, $140. No, it's a racket. Like I said, there's a couple different reasons. If you want to Google it, Pennsylvania State Police, there's a couple different reasons why they're hard up for money. That's why I knew as soon as we got pulled over, we were getting a ticket. Those bastards. Yes, Vallejo paints rule, man. Especially their airline. Their airline is pretty great. Especially like the metallics for the airline. They don't have that glittery look like some of the regular acrylic metallics do, because the pigment's like very, very fine for using through an airbrush. So, especially like the metallics I like in the airline. They're pretty sweet. But I do have some like GW paints. The Citadel paints, they're not the worst. Especially some of their technical paints. Like, what is it? Rise of Rust. Some of their weathering colors and stuff are pretty good. Yes, they do have weird pot sizes, and they've changed over the years too, which kind of sucks. But all right, guys, I don't want to drag this out. Keep this relatively sensible size. We've got our pig. We're making progress. I'm probably going to print, if I get that filament today, I'm going to print the armor pieces and stuff, and we'll confirm that we can't fit the helmet on with the ears glued in. If we can do that, we will first attach the ears, because it'll give us a little more consistent paint job overall if we can airbrush this with the ears on. But if we can't, it is what it is. It's tough to tell. Like, looking at it, it looks like it's possible that there's enough room there to slide these over, but I don't know. I wouldn't plan on it. I kind of wouldn't plan on it. So probably end up mounting the ears on something, painting them separate, and then having to do some assembly after we have all our pieces. But like I said, I'll get those pieces printed out. At the very least, like the helmet, and I don't know what else would be good. I guess I'll probably try to knock out the body, the big primary body pieces overnight, one of these nights coming up, so we have those to work on. Because some of those we can finish separately. Maybe print out some of the strapping and badging, because those can be assembled in little pieces and painted and finished, and then kind of put together for the final steps. So yeah, we'll get it going here. Try not to drag this out too much. Maybe get this done in 2 or 3 weeks, hopefully. Is the helmet 2 pieces? I don't believe so. I think the helmet is all 1 piece. I think there are these add-ons, like on the sides, these little badges or emblems or medals or whatever you want to consider them. But the main structure of the helmet itself is all 1 piece. It's all a single print. So, like I said, we'll be able to tell once we have it in hand how it all fits together. Like I said, it looks like there's a possibility you might be able to wiggle that down over the ears once they're installed. But we won't know until we have the piece. Yeah, Vallejo makes some varnishes. I've never actually used the Vallejo varnishes. I've always used spray varnish. I've never used it for brushing on. The only exception to that is like, I don't know what brand it is. I have like an oil based like super high gloss varnish that I use to brush on things. Like we'll use that on the eyes to get like a super high gloss finish on the eyeballs. But I've never actually used Vallejo or the Citadel varnishes. I'll have to give them a try sometime. Did I check the comments in the PTFE video? I believe so. It's like most of the streams. It's half like attaboys and half people like complaining that streams are too long. So you can't win. But I'll check them out. Blue tack for masking. Excellent tip. Stuff works great. Probably do a little bit of that. Though I think for the most part, all these pieces will be airbrushable without much masking at all, because we'll do most of it separate and then assemble it and then do some inking and then our final varnishes and stuff without too much bother. But yeah, we'll see. Anyway, guys, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for hanging out. Sorry we were kind of late. We'll also be late on Thursday. Hopefully, I am going to try to stream. Hopefully, I don't get banged up too bad at the dentist's office. I do have to get some, I was going to say minor. It's a little more than minor, but not serious work done. So hopefully I will be able to stream. Like I said, I might be a little bit loopy, but we'll try to check in anyway. And hopefully be throwing some paint on this and moving this project along. So hopefully I'll see some of you guys Thursday. Video will be coming out tomorrow. Hopefully I'm going to have a channel trailer up today, finally. I've been putting that off for a long time. So hopefully the channel trailer will be up. And anybody following the Dungeoneering series, hopefully this episode will be a little bit more exciting. I know the first couple were kind of dry because they're just sort of like a bunch of information, but I wanted to get it all out there because there's a lot of things that I think are important to know before you start like buying file sets and stuff. So we'll actually start doing some things on this installment. So keep an eye out for that. Thanks for subbing. Thanks for checking me out. Thanks for hanging out. I'll see you guys in the future. Peace.